We live in a world, Gonzo, where I can tell you that somebody I know who owns a number of courses in the UK got his list of 2,700 courses, and he wrote to every single course personally with an idea to improve golf and grow golf, and he did it in an unselfish way. What would you think? 2,700, what response did he get from golf courses in the UK?
I'll be surprised if his responses broke into double figures.
Well, I'm actually ashamed to say he got 6 responses, and those 6 responses were from private golf club owners.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me, Greg, I'm afraid.
Okay, so listen, we're in an age where we have Ricky Fowler. He's pretty cool, even for someone as cool as me to say. We have Rory McIlroy. Not so cool. I think he's pretty much he's a product. I don't think anybody will ever get to know him. He's Tiger-esque in that way. But they're pretty cool guys. They're young guys. When Tiger came out, everybody was Tiger this, Tiger that, Tiger this, Tiger that. I remember a friend of mine in the States saying to me, he's black. That's so cool. And I was saying, well, he's half Asian. That's pretty cool as well. And I was told basically, to shut up, that he's a black guy. He's going to change the world. And he did change the world in golf. Ricky, Rory, the other guys, they have not had the same effect. Why?
Yet. See, also don't forget that Tiger emerged at very much the right time. The old Shakespeare quote, there is a tide in the affairs of men. Earl Woods saw to it that his boy was in the right place at the right time. And, there was a corporate and brand hunger for a phenomenon like Tiger. And it's pitiable in a way to see now that even a colossus like him, as a brand and as a money-making entity, has simply been eaten up and spat out by the industry.
Yeah.
The man is a physical wreck.
Yeah.
His knees are shot, his back shot, his spine shot, his hips are shot, his shoulders are shagged. It's a wonder that the man can still walk upright, apparently. Okay, he knew exactly what he was getting into. And no one could say that he was, given a hard deal. He made an awful lot of money.
Yeah.
And let's be fair, he did an awful lot for the game.
Yeah.
As an ambassador, his little peccadillos notwithstanding. I think the fact that there is less money about now, and the fact that people like, Mrs. Fowler and McIlroy, I think are genuinely a bit more canny, and they've seen what can happen, when you become part of the machine.
Yeah.
If you don't watch out, it will devour you.
And my question was more around the point, and I absolutely agree with everything you've said, which is very unusual. Why aren't Tiger... Well, okay, I wouldn't say Tiger's gone completely, but why isn't Rory and Ricky, why don't they have the same attraction? Is it because they're too smart?
I think a lot of it has to do with the time frame, Greg. Don't forget that they've been in the business 5 minutes. I remember seeing fresh-faced Mr. McIlroy when I was covering the Walker Cup at Royal County Down in 2007. He hadn't really stepped into the spotlight then. And in the great, scheme of things, not really been there for very long. But I think also his background is a different one. I think Europe, and particularly Ireland, is not as given to hype as is America. They have royal families all over Europe who very often can't get a seat at a local cinema. In America, they manufacture their idols to such an extent. They then own them, and they too eat them up and spit them out as a consuming public. And I don't think McIlroy would sit still for that. I think that, he's not... There's much less artifice in his world, and he's also much less likely to be taken in by it. I think he's more cynical than that, which is good.
Okay, well, back to what you and I are going to do with these discussions. We are going to try and grow the game of golf, whether it makes us any, I won't say popular, but if it makes us less popular, that's fine. But can we grow the game of golf between us?
Um, I think there's a very short answer to that, and you need only look as far as South Korea to see where the game can go, given the right fertile ground and almost pathological competitive spirit, and a part of the world that has been, to all intents and purposes, unaffected by the downward slump. Yeah, and that will be. I mean, that we acknowledged that about 3 or 4 years ago as the likely next meaningful centre of influence for the game at club level and up to pro level. By club level, I mean also genuinely having an affection for young players and having a genuine need and the wherewithal to help them get on. Because, kids in Europe who start kicking a football around, are the people who try out for, the Liverpool juniors, Man United juniors, Man City, Newcastle, because they've been doing it since they were knee-high to whatever. And I think the Koreans have that hunger. I think we're just a bit too jaded and possibly a bit spent in all senses of the word in this country. But again, there's no reason to think that we won't recover.
Okay, so if we set out to talk about the real issues of golf, we talk about consumerism in the United States. I totally, there isn't. I don't know a single American who wouldn't agree completely with you. But what I would say is that with all their consumerism, there's 1 million people have stopped playing golf in America. I don't think anybody else has actually come out and admitted that they've that kind of issue. So if we look to America, if we are going to follow that when America sneezes, the rest of us get pneumonia, what can America do to improve golf? To rebuild golf?
I think the environment is too markedly different from ours. And primary amongst the differences is its sheer size. Any trend that happens, good or bad, in the United States, takes an awfully long time to filter through, because there are a comparable number of golf courses in North Carolina to the amount that there are throughout Great Britain.
Yeah,
and that in itself changes the rules, as you well know, to an extraordinary degree. I don't think that a closer association at golf club level with a country like the USA, or for that matter Japan or China or Australia or the EMEA territories, will actually do anything. Because, in Britain, if we think that the perception of golf as elitist is harming us, in France it's 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Because they're much more socialist and left-wing in their thinking and their whole ideology. And so golf courses it's the norm for them to be empty.
Yeah.
So I think the best way that the association can benefit everybody is, from the top, the USGA and the PGA will always do their thing, and they'll always have their unholy kind of alliances as far as the rules of the game. And we have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they do have the best interests of the sport at heart.
Yeah.
And then on the technical level, where, I made all my bones and my sort of fame and professional sort of name for myself in the years since 2000, where a lot of very, very bright people came up with some fantastic inventions.
Yeah.
From gadgets to clubs to balls to whatever, and they were genuinely wanting to improve the game. There were an awful lot of crackpots and idiots as well, as you can imagine.
Yeah,
I think you and I met most of them. That is another level, but again, I think because the industry has morphed into the industry that it is, those are choked off now. They won't even get a look in.
Yeah.
They can't get arrested,
Yeah.
And certainly they can't afford to start doing the thing of protecting intellectual property on 5 continents.
Yeah.
And however many territories it is. It's just not feasible. Mm-hmm. So I think, in answer to your question, We can probably learn from each other's mistakes, but again, that's going to be by viewing remotely. I don't think the answer is by buddying up and getting closer to each other.
Okay. Right, so let's go back to the situation in the UK where, I've spoken, without exaggeration, I've spoken to 20 captains, golf directors who are saying to me, look, we have an opportunity now in this recession where if I go to my members and say, I'm really sorry, we're in deep shit, we're going to have to put your sub up 50 quid, for the first time in 25 years, members will say, well, how do we stop this happening? What opportunity do you think that could help?
I don't know off the top of my head, and I think if I did, I'd probably be going, to the likes of IMG rather than telling you and our esteemed audience, because they would be, they'd be golden in our hills.
Yeah.
But if it's of any use, I think it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of this discussion, that it lies in the desire to become more relevant to people's everyday lives. You can always find someone who'll pay an extra £50 or an extra $50 or extra €50 if they can see the value in it. Yeah. If you can make them want it.
Yeah.
If it's just, although it's probably the most sensible and the most legitimate reason to increase memberships and subs because of the costs, it's also the least attractive and the least convincing, because members can't see the benefit. It's simply the cycle of, whoops, here we go, we're getting shafted again, trousers down, boys, it must be November, And people won't sit still for it anymore. They simply won't. So I think part and parcel of giving that bad news of the increased fees is that you have to offer added value. And, in whatever effort that you make, it could be, absolutely monstrous. You could offer, happy hour becomes a happy 3 hours, and it's not just Friday, it's 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Clubs are now going to have to think on their feet.
Yeah.
Free memberships for kids, reduced memberships for families. I'm sure some of them are doing it, but they have to be more aggressive.
Yeah.
And they have to be sincere, and they have to take it out into the community, because no one's beating a path to their door to join their clubs now.
Yeah. Well, Gonzo O'Byrne, thank you very much for your time. I think what we're going to do next time is we're going to have a serious chat about people like couponers and the guys who take and take and take from the industry and give nothing back. So, Gonzo O'Byrne, may your God go with you, whomever your God may be.
It's been great talking to you, Greg. I've been Gonzo Golfer. He is Dominic O'Byrne, and you are a better golfer than you think.
Dominic, as usual, pleasure.
Thanks, Greg.